the ABA rule, right? The ABA rule is always be asking. And the reason that's a rule is because if you don't follow that rule, what you immediately default into is telling. And if you're ever telling, you're never selling. It's just not happening. And telling would be, hey, I think you are a really great fit. Hey, this would be great for you. Hey, this is perfect. Hi, I think we have a solution to your problem. What else would be telling? Telling would be, you would not have that problem anymore. You would no longer have to deal with that. Oh, in 6 months, everything's going to change for you. That's all telling statements. And it's actually it comes from people, transparently, it comes from people in sales that haven't got a combination of two things, I would say. One, self-awareness, two, skills. So they resort to telling rather than asking. So your number one rule is to always ask, hey, don't let me say anything to you. With what you've heard, do you feel like this is a good fit for you? Hey, don't let me say anything to you. With everything I've broken down here, do you really think that provides a solution to your problem? Hey, don't let me tell you anything. With everything we learned and discovered in this last 15 minutes, do you really think you can stay where you are? That's asking. And that's what leads to someone self-realizing. I'm going to put some things in the chat. Self-realize, which empowers human beings when they self-realize. Because, like children, and this is all we are, we're grown-up children. Children like to think that they came up with the answer, even if they were heavily, heavily influenced to answer it in a certain way. So it's a very powerful way to ensure that prospects feel like, one, they're in control of their own decision. Two, they have to go through the psychological process to know that this works for them. Otherwise, sometimes money actually can get put down. That's one of the worst things that can happen. Money gets put down and they're not sure yet whether it can work for them. And that's devastating because what you have is a uncommitted mind. Commitment doesn't exist at 99%. It's only 100%. It's either on or off. The light switch is either on or off. You get dimmers, yes, but it's still on or off. If it's at the lowest level of dimness, it's on. If it's at the highest level of brightness, it's on. If it's off, it's off. So the ABA rule will keep you safe from telling. So your counter rule to that is never tell if you want to sell effectively with no pressure, of course, because it's always going to link back down to this. Trademarked by the Charlie man, the no pressure close. This is an actual, call it what you like, a system, method. Charles, you have no idea, man, what you're getting this one-to-one with, because I'm gonna innovate this entire sales industry with this and teach people this system, method, and no pressure close. It's the 3 rules here. The ABA rule, always be asking. Second, you ask, what's the second one? What does detachment mean? I'll give you an example of attachment, right? Attachment is you're mentally or psychologically fixated on things have to be a certain way, or you're mentally or psychologically fixated on a very specific outcome. That's the worst thing to have generally in life, because life is it's not random, but it's hard to predict. I can't exactly predict how busy it's going to be in the car park when I set an intention to go out on the weekend. I don't know how busy it's going to be. So if I'm attached to this plan of it going perfectly and I pull up and the car park's round and it's busy and there's so many people around, the individual that's detached doesn't care. They just solve problems. They just like, oh, okay, the car park's full. Cool. Who cares? Where am I going to go then? What am I going to do? If there's nowhere to park at all, you're even going to find, it doesn't matter. You're going to find a solution somewhere. The attached individual is going to be like, oh, there's nowhere to park. Oh no, anticipate this. And they start to melt down because they're anticipating this perfect plan they had in their mind. Mind would be meant that they were attached to. Meant is always mind because it's mental. Mental mind, which is always talking about psychology, the mind. So attachment is being fixed to things. And in sales, it would be, I'm going to make this sale before you even get on the call with a human being. I'm going to make this sale. You go in with that mindset. It's primarily, at least, it's not the worst thing to go in and go, I'm going to help this individual. I'm going to make sure that they take action. That's going to lead to a sale, but you're detached, whether it does or not, because you can't control it. You can only influence it. And sales detachment is going detached on the cash, detached on the commission. Doesn't matter, you've got zero in your bank and your rent is riding on this deal. You have to have that same level of discipline and integrity to show up. Unattached, detached, who cares really? Like if you buy, great. If you invest, great. But it's going to be as a result of me asking you a ton of questions to see if this actually provides a solution to what you need and what problem you're experiencing. And if it doesn't, and we both feel that, cool, no hard feelings. I'm detached from the sale. What I'm not going to do is fall into sales attachment. And that's where pressure comes in. This is no pressure close method. And you'll never pressure someone if you're like, hey, look, you get to the end, you get to price drop, and you understand and think about my sales principles. You do not drop price unless they are sold. So you get into this position, you drop price, and then all of a sudden and it's nothing you can do. There's like nothing that can happen. And they've just all of a sudden freaked out. I'd go, hey, by the way, I'm not attached to you doing this. I mean, it'd make a lot of sense with what we discussed, but I'm not attached to you doing this. And if you want to walk away now after everything we've been to and continue to go back to where your problems and that are at and circulate in that same habit, you're welcome to. I can't stop you. However, let me ask you, back to ABA rule, what's going through your mind and why would you do that? And let them talk it out. What I'm not going to do is well, you might as well do this now. Yeah, you got this far. No, yeah, but don't you think walking away you're going to lose out on this big opportunity? And like that slippery ice slope kicks in where people are saying whatever. And this is where you get people that actually price way early because they haven't done any work in the sale. And then what happens is price has dropped and the fucking this is hilarious. The time after the fucking call or the time remaining after the price has been dropped is longer than it was for the fucking first half of the call. So that tells you everything you need to know. And then what is it? Looping round. Why? But why? Why? Because there was no prep and there was no setup. Likely there was some telling. Likely there wasn't enough intelligent questions that were asked. And the individual is attached to the sale. So therefore the prospect will feel pressure. And you have to really, really insult human beings to think they're that stupid to not know our purpose. And our purpose, regardless how you skin it, is to ensure that we process payments. I wouldn't say make sales. I wouldn't say any of that. We have to process payments. So we are the ones, we're the gatekeepers on the front line that really ensure money crosses the line. We take people from interested to involved. And it's someone putting skin in the game is a big decision. Someone actually making investments and money leaves their bank is a big decision. That's a big chunk of time and energy. That's a segment of that individual's soul. And to do that, and for the purpose of you going on to succeed on what you said that you would do, is way, way, way harder if money comes down, if they put it down under a load of pressure. Because what people can tend to do is, all right, let me put a little bit down, let me do what I can do to get off the call and either ghost and go, okay, I'll take a little deposit loss, or not ghost, stick around, not do anything really, and then want a refund. We're a part of a business pie in sales. If you think of it as just a filling, you haven't got a pie. You've got fucking Mrs. Betsy's apple Bramley sauce. You've got apples rather than flour, butter. You need baked in a buttery, flaky, crisp crust, or whatever it is. Whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, baked in a buttery, flaky crust. Sales detachment. Rule number 2. Be detached from things. It's a good rule in life. If you're detached, what often happens is better questions come to your mind. Imagine that. Oh, Charlie, I just don't know what to ask in the moment, Charlie. What do I say? How do you know what to ask? Well, I give my mental world space and questions come to me because I'm fucking paying attention and I'm listening. And I'll never know a question to ask unless I'm dealing or listening to a human being. So as long as I've got that, fucking easy for me. Light work, easy work. That's rule 1 and 2. Rule 3. Imagine I'm going to go through this whole presentation before anyone else comes in it. Great. PQP. PQP is permission, question, process. Permission, question, process. Why is this important? Well, when you know pressure flows people, one thing you got to realize is for them to be, often in sales, for them to be willing to explore very challenging components or areas of their life, which is why they're changing, because there's problems. So problems often couple with challenges. There's very sensitive, insert word sense, people get, they're really sensitive. Their senses are heightened. So you have to be very respectful. This is what P is, permission, question, process, right? We don't just walk into people's houses. I said this before, if you're in America, so like in the UK, if you walk in someone's house, most people probably freeze in fear a little bit, but you'd kick off. And then who knows what happened. I don't think it would end well, regardless. In America, you can get shot for walking in someone's house. That's how real it is. So imagine the difference. Even if you think you're supposed to be there, you know, oh, I thought I was supposed to be here. Who cares? Who cares? Who are you? Like you've just walked in. Permission. And I use the analogy of someone's house because someone's house is the metaphor for someone's mind to explore vulnerabilities about themselves. So the PQP process is very, very effective when you're looking to unlock a part or an area of someone that's challenging for them. This is a very, very effective method when you've dropped price. Yeah, I just need to think about that. I need to think about that. Or, oh, that's a little bit too steep. I wasn't expecting it to be that much. Ah, man. Okay. Well, yeah, I think I'd like to negotiate the price. Whatever comes up, PQP is very effective here. So the first thing to do is permission. So generally throughout the call, it's a very healthy rule of thumb to have when you're about to explore an area or you're in a sensitive area. This is very intuitive and feeling based for me. I sense it. If you don't have that same sense of communication, you can structure your questions to be formatted in this PQP way. And the first part is, hey, do you mind if I ask you some real digging questions on this area? That's your permission. Your permission is likely likely going to get a yes or a no, which is great. Because if they say no, rule number one comes back. Do you mind if I ask why? No, I don't want to talk about my finances. Okay, that's cool. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. However, Steve, do you mind if I ask why? Well, I don't think it has got anything to do with you. Okay. Steve, let me ask you a question, if I can. Sure, got the permission. Are you on this call in any way, shape, or form to improve your financial situation? Yes, I am. Well, wouldn't it make sense, correct me if I'm wrong, that we get an understanding where you're at financially right now? Um, um, uh, and that's how you get into someone's mind that's quite resistant. Hey, do you mind if we, because if you just go, what are you earning? You can do that. It's not to say you can't do that, but it's not a good rule of thumb to say do that for, quite frankly, hundreds of thousands of people that are in sales, that are coming into sales more and more rapidly, particularly online. And there's no rules of thumb. These rules of thumb are for absolute beginners and advanced people, but people with more experience will know if on the call in the moment they can go, what are you earning there, John? I'll know if I can do that. I won't have to always ask permission. It's not always a case that I have to. It's a rule of thumb that I'd use. And I would sense that in the room. John might come in completely open. I'm like, what are you earning then, John? In a B2B call, what's the business done in the last 3 months then, if I can ask? B2B, different. In B2C, permission is a great rule. Hey, do you mind if I just explore a little bit of where you're at base salary cash flow wise right now? Permission. Then the question. So what have you made in the last 3 months? I've done anywhere from around 4 to 6K a month. Okay. Permission, then question, then process. So and process is always going to be in the form of a question also. Because always be asking. Rule number one. So process it is like, oh, 4 to 6K. So let's process that if we can. What's wrong with 4 to 6K? And they're going to sell you on why they're dissatisfied on 4 to 6K. And they're going to say, well, 4 to 6K, do you know what? I can only afford fake TNs. And I want the real deal. I want the real shebang. You know, I bought the fake TNs and it was windy a few weeks ago and the plastic flew off them. Yeah, so my 4 to 6K just needs to get me out of this fake TN era. Okay, interesting. So do you feel like you've extended every single effort with where you're at currently to make more than 4 to 6K in what you're currently doing? Yeah, I do, Charlie, actually. I do. I think I've tried everything and enough is enough and I'm ready to change it. Okay. Well, do you mind if I make a suggestion? Back to permission. Here we are. Back to permission. Do you mind if I make a suggestion? Sure, Charlie. Why would you not, if we had everything here, let's just use Closing Bible. If we had everything here at Closing Bible that helped you maybe double 4 to 6K per month, would you not start? Question. Do you know, I don't know yet, Charlie. I just need to know a bit more about the program. I think, you know, if it can get me there, I can see how. I definitely explore it. So this is where I process with a question. Okay, so if we ticked all of your boxes and you could see clearly, not just randomly, clearly for you personally, John, how Closing Bible is going to enable you. Let's not put a time on it for now, but it's going to enable you the path to get to 4 to 6K, doubled every single month. Would you be open to exploring that? Yes. Amazing. That's PQP in action. I'm going to give you another example whilst I'm just here presenting on my own. Presenting on my own. My audience is Charles. My audience is Charles. It's Charles, man. So, PQP at the end, yeah. Charlie, I love it, mate. Honestly, I think this is what I want to do. However, we got someone in the room now. However, Charlie, I just need to go away and think about it. And I'm like, absolutely you do. Of course you need to think about it because this is a decision that isn't done without you ensuring this is the right one for you. Welcome, Jessica. I just happen to be presenting on my own here with Charles in the background because no one was here, but I'm going to close up on this PQP point. I was going through a presentation on this is I'm trademarking this. I'm actually going to trademark this no pressure close system or method, and it's using these 3 rules here. And I'm just talking about this last one. So permission, question, process. Charlie, I just think I need to go and think about it. Okay. Great. That's a great place to be. Permission. Hey, I'll use your name, Jessica, if you don't mind. Hey, Jessica, do you mind if we explore this together collaboratively so we can understand what there is to think about before you do anything else? Sure, Charlie. Permission. I've gained access to the sensitive area. Access granted. Sensitive area open. Question. Well, the logical question. What are you thinking about? Let the explanation come. Well, it's a lot of money. I want to make sure this feels right to me, and I want to make sure that this is definitely something I'm prepared to do. Okay. Okay. Love it. Process that. How? By asking a question again. That ABA, by the way, Jessica, is always be asking. Process it, asking. Okay. So it needs to feel right, and you need to know you're definitely ready for that. If we could write some notes on this, Jessica, what would you have to see or feel or experience to absolutely 100% know this feels right and you are able to do this? Insert the last processing question. Sensitive area is going to come back with feedback, and we're either just going to keep looping that. We're going to keep looping that. Without an actual example, I don't know where this goes, but there's your loop. And definitely, rule number 1 is very prominent in this area, because if you ever tell anyone, this is like going hunting. This is like going hunting. You're deer hunting or something, and it's right there in front of you, and all of a sudden you sneeze, and the deer's gone because you told them something. At the highest pressure zone, which if you've done the call with this method, there is no pressure, but it is pressure because someone's about to invest. So if you sneeze, your deer runs away. That's the equivalent to saying, well, I think you should do that. Oh, and you slip your tongue and everything has changed in the room. Everything. So that, and then this, and then that together, run through the whole call, but particularly after you've dropped price and you're dealing with what people call objections, that is going to save you. And it's going to help you no pressure close someone with an actual system and method with those 3 rules. Presentation